Brian Flores with Bryant Gumbel on HBO. It's Real Sports, I guess, still it's called, right? And those two gentlemen sat down, and there is more news because Brian Flores will not back down. They went back and forth, his camp and the Miami Dolphins. Give a listen to this as kind of the baseline that we'll build off of.
I was surprised to learn that when you were let go by the Dolphins, that you were asked to sign an NDA, a non-disparagement agreement, and you declined.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, just signing that, separation agreement would have really silenced me.
How much money did you wind up leaving on the table by choosing to not sign that agreement?
A lot.
A good amount of money.
A lot of money.
What's a good amount?
It was millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
It was 2 years. It was a contract. And to Coach Flores' credit, he wasn't going to sign that because it wasn't about the money. If it was about the money, he would have signed it. What he did instead was he filed this lawsuit so that he could help other coaches now and in the future.
That's Gumbel, Flores, and Flores' attorney. So to rehash, Miami owner Stephen Ross tried to get him. This is what he says, that Miami owner Stephen Flores tried to get him to sign a separation agreement. He couldn't file if he did that, so he didn't sign it. He left money on the table, what you just heard right there. The next shoe to drop in all of this happened after this interview aired, or after the clips came out. The Dolphins said, it didn't go down like this. Flores said, oh, it didn't? I got receipts. And his attorney went and fashioned on the internet the receipts, or at least the non-disclosure agreement. The agreement that was presented to them was Stephen Ross's signature on it, and said, or at least the legal counsel from the Dolphins, here you go. This is what you presented to us. That being said, I actually believe the little guy who's trying to get stamped down by the big billion-dollar corporation here, but who you believe here and who you don't believe is kind of something I think that's secondary to our conversation right here. The conversation to me is, and I didn't think this 24, 48 hours ago, but I'm starting to wonder this. Will Flores, even if it's not his fault, and I don't think it is, but will he serve as even the smallest bit of distraction as he coaches the Steelers this year in this thing that lingers over him?
I don't think he'll serve as a distraction to the team. I could see him later down the road perhaps being distracted if he's got to, file a deposition, right? He's got to do some sort of videotape testimony for a deposition or something like that on a Wednesday afternoon when everybody else is in a game planning meeting or something like that. I could see that perhaps becoming a distraction to him, but even that I think is minimal or minuscule in how it would affect the team as a whole. I think people are grasping at straws if they want to believe that this is going to be some sort of cloud that hangs over the Steelers all year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a cloud that hangs over the Steelers, and I've said that, and I firmly said that yesterday, and I truly do believe it. But I am starting to wonder if from a time constraint standpoint, if this will take more of Flores' time than he anticipated initially. And thus, it'll take time away from him and his duties here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not saying that that'll definitely happen, but over the past 24 hours with what's happened with this situation, I'm starting to wonder if he will have to, as he won't back down, and rightly so, if he will have to dig in and there will be more of a time commitment than he anticipated. And he can only get time from one place. He can only be in one place at one time.
Right.
So that being said, it's the right move. It's the right move to take the Steelers job. It's the right move to dig your heels in against the Miami Dolphins. But he's going as he fights both of those things, as he wants to coach and as he wants to go through with this lawsuit. As he does that concurrently and he does that, at the same time, one might take away from the other. And I think that could happen down the road.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's, even if it, like, let's say Brian Flores has to sit for, like, a videotaped, like I said, testimony in some sort of deposition down the road, and it happens to come in, like, September, right, during the season, and he's got to miss a meeting for it, right? It sucks. But we've all been in a situation where we've had to do something externally from work that took us away for a few hours, and then we still got our work done. So, like, I don't even think it's a problem in that instance, or a distraction in that instance. And I think, the Pittsburgh Steelers, moreover, have to be, after you hear the description Brian Flores gave of how he sort of reached out to Mike Tomlin for advice and ended up landing a job out of that phone call, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are completely, totally prepared for that and completely and totally on board with, as I heard someone put it the other day, once you're a Pittsburgh Steeler, you're always a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's now kind of folded into the family, and they'll do whatever they have to do for him.
Fan Morning Show presented by Matt Mertz Plumbing, now part of the Armstrong Comfort Solutions family. And to that conversation, the very end of this really, it intrigues me, and how Flores dealt with, in particular, Bill Belichick, or how he really hasn't dealt with him. Here's how the Flores Steelers hire came to pass. And listen to Gumbel prod a little bit. I think it's a great piece of interviewing by Gumbel about if anything happened with the Patriots.
Do you think Coach Tomlin threw you a lifeline?
I feel like I'm very capable coach in this league, but I do feel like he saw a situation where there was a very experienced coach who could help his staff, who's also a black coach in the league, and I think that kind of speaks to what we're talking about.
Some members of the Boston media were beating the drum for you to go back to the Patriots. Was that ever in play?
No, I didn't talk to anyone from New England.
Since that now infamous text exchange with Bill Belichick, have you spoken with him?
I have not.
Have you tried to?
No, I
Do
haven't.
you expect to?
I mean, there's potential, or we could run into each other. I mean, I'd be open to a conversation, but no, if that we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
The end part strikes me as very odd in that Belichick hasn't, and I'm not trying to paint Belichick as some monster, but if that's me and I send the wrong text to somebody, and I think that I have a good relationship with all of those guys, I don't know if I do or not, but I would have sent Flores a text and said, hey, listen, that was my bad. If I want to be viewed as somebody who views somebody more so than just looking at Brian Flores as a piece of meat that helped me at one point in time in my organization, how does Belichick not send Flores a text that said, hey, all that stuff that happened, my bad. I'm sorry I sent you the wrong text, man. I hope everything's good. I hope you're doing well. And I'm really sorry I set this off.
I imagine Bill Belichick, who is a master of CYA, is just thinking, well, I'm going to stay out of Flores' vortex for a while. I don't agree with that tack. If I were in Belichick's shoes, I would have reached out to the man and said, hey, if there's anything I can do, let me know, and just left it at that and waited for Brian Flores to respond if he decided to respond at all. But look, Bill Belichick has had more than enough occasions in his career now to worry about what the public perception, or more importantly, the league's perception is going to be. So, or what he may get dragged into as a result of reaching out to Flores. It's a silly concern, at least from my point of view, but I don't doubt for a second that Belichick would think that way.
I found the one part curious, too, where Flores highlights his race. I don't know. That just sat interesting to me, that he felt the need to accentuate his race there when he says.
But I do feel like he saw a situation where there was a very experienced coach who could help his staff, who's also a black coach in the league.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that had to do with that.
Well, I think because Brian Flores' entire lawsuit is based around racial discrimination, and, that the Rooney Rule has not been able to do enough around the league to provide further inclusion. And so I think he's saying, hey, Mike Tomlin is the only black head coach in the NFL. He saw another coach that he thought could help and also happened to be black.
I
Added
agree
bonus.
that he's a great coach and he should be hired and that people should be hired regardless of race. But I do have a question, and I think it's a fair question in this instance. He was hired, as he outlined, over the course of 12 hours, right? From
Pretty
start
quickly,
to finish.
yeah.
Could a non-minority coach have that happened to? I think that's a very fair question here.
I don't know.
I'm all for leveling the playing field for everyone, but we go through this situation where the playing field is supposed to be leveled. And Brian Flores, for me, was hired because he's a very good defensive mind, period, next sentence, start over. No race involved. But if somebody was not a minority candidate, can they go through the hiring process in 12 hours or 18 hours? Like if they said Doug Marrone needs a job, we think he's a great Jason Garrett needs a job. He can really help us on offense. My gosh, he's free right now. Let's get him. Can they hire him Friday into Saturday and be done with it?
Yeah, I don't know what the particulars of that Rooney role entail. When
So
you're
how's
talking
it
about,
working?
When you're talking about in this instance, you're not creating a position because you already have a linebackers coach position, right? But you're creating the special defensive assistant position, I guess, and tagging along. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I think they got the right guy. They got a great defensive mind. I don't even look at it as any sort of racial issue, but he brought up race, and it didn't sit great with me, to be real frank with you, because I wonder if somebody who's not a minority can get through that, can get through all the hiring processes and protocols that quickly. I think that's a real fair question.